Greetings, students. Today we're going to take a little bit of a look at the course that we have elected to take, and that would be Calculus BC AP. Now, we need to make sure that we understand exactly what we're getting into before we get too deep into it. Make sure we don't have anybody that may be out of place or perhaps didn't want to take this particular course. If the page will turn for me. Okay, there we go. First off, what we're looking at here is just a basic explanation of what is Calculus BC AP. Now, obviously, the main title of the course here is Calculus. Now, we better understand what calculus is, just as algebra is the study of equations and how to solve them, and geometry is the study of shapes and how algebra applies to them. Calculus is the mathematical study of change. And obviously, calculus has a lot of applications in engineering type topics. And what we're looking at here is there's actually a couple of different things that calculus looks at as far as this vocabulary of study of change. There's two particular areas that calculus is interested in. There's a lot of different math that goes into these two areas, but the two main focus or foci would be the behavior and properties as you move along a curve. Now in algebra we spend a lot of time worrying about how to graph the curves, how to read the equations, what properties can be told about a curve from the various positioning and values that are in an equation. Calculus is more interested in the behavior of the curve as you move along it. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of discussion about the behavior of the graph as you're moving, as graphs change direction from maybe turning upwards to turning downwards, or as they reach a maximum or a minimum point within the particular graph. There's a lot of information that can be told by understanding the behavior and the nature of those graphs as you're moving along them. So that's one of the things that we spend a lot of time in calculus trying to come to an understanding with. Another thing that we're after is the area underneath a curve, or the area that is caught between multiple curves. Now, obviously, in classes like geometry and before geometry, you spend a lot of time worrying about area of particular polygons, and a lot of the curves and things like that that we run into in late Algebra 2 and pre-calculus and into calculus, these are not regular polygons to find areas of, but it doesn't mean that area is any less of an important discussion just because we don't have a polygon. In fact, in the business and engineering world, a lot of information is keyed into how much area is there underneath some goofy curve that may be turning and bending all over the place. How much area is between that curve and the x-axis? Or perhaps we have more than one equation working in the graph at the same time, so you have two curves running around interacting with each other. How much space is actually caught in between those curves? There's a lot of applications to be found there. So that's your basic description of what we are going to be looking at in calculus. Now, the next thing that in the title of the course is the BC, and I want to make sure that we understand this because a lot of people are familiar or know that they're taking Calculus AB or Calculus BC, but may not be real clear on what the distinction or the difference is between those two courses. Okay, now BC is the coding for the material that is expected to be covered in the course. As such, a class like Calculus AB and Calculus BC have some commonalities between them, but there is different material required to be covered in AB than there is in BC. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a look at that. Okay, the information in first year calculus courses is coded as such. Okay, so there's a lot of information that is actually being communicated by the A and the B and the C that are appearing in these course names. Okay, so let's take a look. A was the designation that was given to the prerequisite material for first year calculus. So in layman's terms, that is typically a course like pre-calculus. The B information is given to the first semester of first year calculus. Assuming that calculus is spread out over an entire year, B includes the first semester information. C denoted the second semester information for first year calculus. So when we have a course like BC, we are basically saying, okay, we are assuming that the prerequisite material has been taken care of through previous courses, and we may now move into the meat of the course of calculus, and we are expected to cover the entire year. Now, the AP portion of the course name is something I'm sure you're well familiar with by now, since most people in a class like Calculus BC, they have taken AP courses before. Okay, it's the abbreviation for Advanced Placement, which of course translates into college level credit with successful performance on the AP exam that will be taken toward the end of the year. So probably no new information there, and this is just to make sure that we understand the expectation is that everybody that is enrolled in a full-blown AP course will in fact be taking the AP exam at the end of the year. So not an issue where people decide, yes, I want to take the test, or no, I don't want to take the test. It is expected that if you spend the year doing calculus BC AP, that you will be taking the exam. Okay, so there's the basic information for Calculus BCAP. So if you feel like this class is not exactly what you were after, or perhaps you need to be in the AB class, that's something you may want to get sorted out now before we get too deep into the class.